is X44 is owned by the Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton.
Wow. Yeah, I want to learn more about it. It's still on FS2. It's on like all the time.
Is that Formula E? I've watched some Formula.
It's actually Extreme E, so it's off-road racing to various countries. And I think they do a race maybe once every month or two, maybe for like an 8-month period. Don't hold me to that. The schedule, I don't have it down pat. But you have to sort of go. You really have to search for it in order to find the coverage. But then they also have some repeats, and then you can find it on the internet, of course.
Yeah, Formula E had a race. They had one in New York City a few years ago. I tried to talk my wife into going, and she just absolutely was not interested.
Wasn't enough noise for her.
Yeah.
Well, I was really impressed at Uruguay, where they hosted that particular race. They're supposed to be almost one of the top countries in the whole world for renewable energy.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. I'm like, wow, that's something else. That should be an example to everybody else that, hey, you can do it. You just gotta put your mind to it, I guess.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the whole thing, and I didn't see any American teams.
There was, I'm fogging up on the teams now, but I think there's some. I think maybe Andretti may be in there, and as a team with somebody else, and then Chip. I think Chip Ganassi is in there also. But I don't know all the teams by heart. I just know one. So, and Lewis Hamilton is British. But
it seemed like they were mostly British, and I like the idea that they had a man and a woman team.
Yeah.
So you got the women in there competing with the men as a team. Against all the other teams, they're all women and men teams, which I thought was different.
Right.
That wouldn't go over in NASCAR, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think NASCAR is a little different.
Yeah, a lot different, yeah. All right, I don't want to take up any more time, but I thought that was interesting.
Well, anybody else have any questions or interesting trips they've been on, new charging stations that you've run into in the state?
Yeah,
I drove to Mexico. Go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Marty.
Well, I just drove to Mexico and back.
Very nice.
I didn't actually go into Mexico, but I saw Mexico from my front porch. Actually, I was on the Boca Chica, a place called Rocket Ranch, which is 8 miles from the Boca Chica Rockets, and they're right on the Rio Grande. And we stopped off there on a birding expedition, and went on down to the coast to see the Rockets, and then drove back. Drove in our new Model Y. Had a great time. Saw lots of interesting birds. Marcia's a fanatical bird watcher these days, and we stopped to see the whooping cranes among other birds. So it's pretty neat.
Nice.
Yeah, my sister-in-law up in Wisconsin is quite a birder as well, and that's where we were over Thanksgiving. And if any of you have stopped at the Lafayette, Indiana supercharger, it used to just be, I think, 10 stations or 8 stations at the side of the Meyer parking lot. We were surprised when it said 10 of 24 are available. Well, they've put in a double row, an aisle away from that original charger system, and it's got 2 pull-through spots and a lot of back-to-back where you pull in and charge that way. So that was a nice change. And then we actually told someone at which At where, Sue?
Inglewood.
Oh, yes, at the Dayton Supercharger, Inglewood. He was towing a U-Haul trailer, and I said, "Oh, what's your range decrease?" He says, "I don't know. I just live 3 miles from here, and I'm going to Green Bay, Wisconsin." And I told him about the pull-through spots in Lafayette, and he said, "Sweet," because he'd like to use those. He was blocking maybe 2 spots on the end in Dayton and being considerate and as best he could with towing a trailer. So I've got some pictures.
Speaking of superchargers and Thanksgiving, did folks see the article about the Mercedes-Benz dealer who decided to park a new Mercedes-Benz electric vehicle and block 2 supercharger spots with it over Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I saw
No.
that. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
I don't remember what the location was. I'll find it here real
That-
quick. But I thought it
that's
was supposed to
all-
be a PR stunt, but talk about a terrible PR stunt. I mean, to block chargers on a major holiday with a car, and they came up with some, story about, oh, it ran out of charge, and it's like, yeah, no, we know what you were doing.
Yeah. Well, I-65 between Chicago and Indianapolis on Sunday was just horrible as far as traffic, and they had some construction going on. Imagine that in late November. And then some accidents. We actually had to get off the freeway 3 times and detour around it on parallel roads. It really delayed us a lot. But
I've got some interesting travel news. 2 Fridays ago, the wife and I drove to Harrisonburg, Virginia, and I got to purchase my EV6, not the one I originally ordered, but I got to purchase a used one that had 1,800 miles, yacht blue. We drove the 4 hours back home. We stopped once in Virginia to charge, and my wife invented some new cuss words on the way home because we pulled into the driveway with 7% of the battery left, but we did make it.
All right, awesome.
good for you.
Yeah, so
You're not.
yeah, so that's
You're not supposed to use.
having fun.
You're not supposed to use those words until you're under 2%. So my son called me the other night as he was driving. I guess he had to run a late night trip to Kroger's, and he said he almost wrecked his new Bolt because he saw a charge point station at the Kia dealer on McCorkle Avenue in South Charleston, and they're supposed to turn them on next Monday.
All right.
So
Was it
they'll
the
be
Kia dealership or the Hyundai dealership, Marty? Because they're at Joe Holland.
It's Joe Holland, whatever it is.
Joe Holland, yeah. That's going to be an all EV store there.
Okay, well, anyway, it's the fastest, and they said they're going to make them public. He asked if they're going to be open 24/7, and they didn't answer the question. And they never called him back. But so next Monday we'll actually have some medium DC chargers, medium speed in West Virginia, the first ones, which is pretty neat.
If anybody's gone through, I believe it's London, Kentucky, they also have the old V2 chargers in a line in the back, and then they've added the pull-through V3 chargers in front. So I think they went from 7 or 8 to like 14 or 15 stalls now. So it looks like that's one of those things that they're going to do for some of the superchargers now is, I guess, add on to them and then add the new pull-through, because it makes it easier for pretty much everybody. If you have a bike rack in the back, or if you're pulling a trailer, it's going to make it probably easy. And it looks like it's a little bit more space, so maybe they're getting ready for the Cybertrucks.
Yeah. I charged in London 4 or 5 years ago, and we were the only cars there. maybe maybe like 3 years ago. It was really quiet then, but I heard that recently they've gotten long backups before they added this the second row there. It's the route.
Speaking of, go ahead, Marty.
It's the route from Chattanooga to Lexington.
Speaking of chargers, I was going to ask. I know that we've had some folks who've been in contact with DOT about the NEVI stuff. Have you heard any other news or updates on any of the NEVI stuff? Okay.
No.
Just wondered. I didn't figure so. Can't hurt to ask.
I'd like to jump in and say I'm anxious to see some other, I guess, non-Tesla charging come to be more of the norm. I having the accident, well, that my wife did. I've kind of not real thrilled with owning a Tesla right now. Kind of even so far as to even looking at other brands, but I guess the charging network here in West Virginia is just not that great. So I think we're going to stick with it.
So it took me 2 months to get my car fixed after I was rudely attacked by some white-tailed deer. 9 days after purchasing a Tesla. So
yeah.
Have you gotten your car to a repair place yet?
I am going up the second week of December to Columbus, and then we are probably. The guy said it would probably be scheduled for January or February, but I guess I'm not real thrilled with how Tesla is keeping. It seems like they've got quite a high barrier to entry for certified collision centers, which I understand. I'm sure they have their reasons, but not being able to get a car fixed within 2 hours of where I live is just a little bit. I think that's just not very. It's definitely not convenient.
Yeah, my insurance agent at the time felt that way, and I obtained a copy of Tesla's requirements, and it was over $100,000 worth of equipment that you had. Had to have. We actually took the documentation to the South Charleston body shop out there in the Badlands, and the guy was not interested at all.
Yeah, a friend of mine has a body shop here in Ripley, and that's what I had ran it over to him and just had him look at it and said, hey, if you think you can fix it. It was kind of odd. He was able to order a tie rod, and he did get that in, and we had that put on. But he wasn't allowed to order a fender. But yeah, he could order, like something like a tie rod. I thought, well, that's sort of more of a drivetrain, more of a safety thing than a fender. But anyway, maybe the tie rod was more of a generic part. I guess maybe that was how he was able to get it. But,
well, I think they're required by law to provide certain parts to anybody that wants them.
Oh, okay.
But maybe not body parts. I don't understand it either, and I don't know why they're so bad about it. Are you going to get a Rife or somebody else? Yeah. Rife had when I was there, Rife had a Model X, and they said they thought it'd be a year to get it fixed.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Well, I had to deal with mine too, but I don't have a horror story like that. But where I'm at, things are a little bit closer, and authorized body shops and service centers are a little closer.
Yeah, Robert, you live in a hot spot for those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever
sorry to hear that, Taylor, that you're having trouble getting it fixed.
Well, it hasn't been too difficult, really. I mean, it's just that I just feel like wait a minute here. Like every time I'm going to have a problem with this car, I'm going to have to go to Columbus. Which, I mean, come on. I guess I knew that going in, right? But I just kind of thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But yeah, I guess maybe it's not the best. It's just not the best choice for my wife. Maybe I could live with it better, but.
It's really funny how it works out. You know, like I've had a couple instances of having the Ranger show up, and the work went very well. And then one time he showed up and he didn't have the right part. It was when I had a failure of the backup camera, and it was the cable that went out, and the wiring harness, and they've since done a recall on that wiring harness. And so I had to drive to Columbus, and while they're replacing the wiring harness, the guy dropped a wrench on the window, on the overhead window, just on the little edge of it, and he broke it, and they replaced that for in 45 minutes. You know, it is just phenomenal. I mean, excellent service. And then we were up there to buy pick up the Y that we bought, and we drove the 3 up, and I asked him about the age of the battery, and they said, "Oh, you should get that replaced." And I said, "Well, can you do it today?" And again, they said, "Yeah, just give us the key, and I will replace it in the next hour." So, I mean, sometimes their service can be superb, and other times their service just truly, absolutely sucks. It makes no sense.
There's certain things like that, Marty, that Elon has specified that they want 1 hour return rate on, and the battery is one of them.
Okay.
Nice.
And it was cheap. They only charged me $100. I mean, I had to pay $400 for replace a 12-volt battery on my Chevy Volt a few months ago.
I just had mobile service replace the battery in mine. It was like, again, Marty, it was mobile service. I put in a service thing. I said I wanted sort of like the 4-year maintenance done. I wanted the battery, a 12-volt battery replaced, wipers, that kind of stuff. The guy came out, swapped out the battery. It was $106 for a new 12-volt battery, and that was installed. I mean, he put it in the car. He put the wiper blades on it and said, "I'll just give you the wiper blades for free." And so didn't even charge me for the wiper blades. And so he was gone in like 10 minutes. And yeah, it was like, I love mobile service.
So it's very funny how it varies so much. And the body shop work has driven people absolutely nuts.
Which, a funny part to our whole story is, so Larissa hits the guy wire for our electric pole, and it actually breaks the fuse holder on the pole up there by the transformer. It actually, the part of the fuse holder falls off, lands on the roof, busts the roof. But the funny part, which I think it's comical now, you
can laugh afterward.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get too upset because I was just in one of those moods. I was like, okay, what else could go wrong? Okay, yeah, she just wrecked the car. Yeah, okay. So and then I was like, oh well, now the power's out. Great. So whenever the lineman came out, I was watching him out the window. I was going to go talk to him, and I saw him looking over at my solar panels a lot. And I thought, well, maybe he's curious about solar panels. So anyway, I got there and talked to him a little bit, and he asked me about them. And so we're actually, long story short, next month we're starting an installation at his place. So
maybe a little silver lining in your cloud.
Yeah. It was kind of like, okay, I guess I can't be mad. Got another project out of it. But,
there you go.
Yeah, he was
so when something like that happened, did he had to verify that your panels were disconnected, right? Before he climbed the pole and worked on the.
Well, as soon as the power went out, they disconnected. I mean, if they're grid tied.
Yeah. Yeah. So the grid tied inverters automatically. Yeah. No,
Okay.
he didn't. He didn't come and disconnect anything. Which, I mean, I guess maybe he should have, but he treated because he was just changing the fuse in the fuse holder. He treated it like it was hot. Well, because the lines were hot. So yeah, all the work that he done was as if.
Taylor, you have battery backup, right?
I don't know.
I
just have great. No.
It looks like we got Marcy joined us too.
Yeah, Marcy, we haven't heard from you tonight.
Sorry, I was in the car. Coming back from Columbus, and I didn't have very good reception. But I'm home now. Hello.
Howdy. So how's the replacement car doing?
She's doing pretty good. I'm still really upset about the terrible way that she was treated with car washes for the first 1,200 miles. But I'll get that fixed here soon. I'm going to have her completely redone, repolished and buffed and all that stuff. So that should take care of that.
You had a problem with car wash? I didn't.
No, I had a similar experience. Somebody hit me in a box truck with my first car. And so I had to go out and find version number 2, and I did. I can't believe it. But that was used. That had a previous owner, and there was only 1,200 miles on it, but they must have taken it through the worst car washes with bristle brushes and everything. There's just swirls in it everywhere and a couple of dents on the hood. I'm still waiting on touch-up paint from Kia. But once that's done, then I'll have it redone.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing about being early adopters on all these new electric vehicles is there's going to be some of these growing pains and issues to work through and some of the little hassles to deal with.
Yeah, I see Scott's new one now, and it's like super, super, super shiny, like mine used to be. There's not a scratch on it. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm a big fan of protective films.
Yes.
So you once you get your car buffed up and repainted, I'd take it over there to that Art of Tint in St. Albans and have them put a PPF on it. PFF.
Yeah, I might do that for the front end, or at least the hood. Yeah.
So anyone else interested in going with me to the Rotary Club in the spring? Marcy, maybe you would have enough experience you'd like to come and talk about your charging. It'll be in Charleston sometime this spring.
Yeah, okay.
Or early summer to the Charleston Rotary Club. We presented to them I guess about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And gave them our kind of standard presentation about electric cars are on the way and all that. And so I'll probably borrow from one of Robert's presentations about details about charging and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Love to participate.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a couple of different cars out there on display.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott would love to bring his new car. We'll look like WVEAA colors side by side with my yellow and his blue.
Hey, blue and gold, there you go.
We just mixed them to be a perfect color.
Yeah, blue and gold.
Like I said, we mixed them to be perfect color.
Yeah, too bad he's a Marshall fan.
That's all right. I love the blue on this car, though.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It is. It is.
Hey, Marcy, now you know what getting Christmas a W plate at the front of it.
Because it goes with this car. Exactly. Good one. I was up in Lewisburg, I think last week, and used those Montwell Commons chargers, and they were really great. To be honest, say 11.2 kilowatts, and then I saw online that the Blinks over by the Greenbrier pulled 21.5 or something like that. So I literally went to the Blink charger, got set up. It was only pulling 10.10. And I tried a different one. It was still only pulling 10.10. And I couldn't get any more than that out of the charger. So actually the Montwell was the better charger. For me. And while I was there, I saw Rivian, who just joined the group last week as well, and I can't remember his name. But funny, I met him, he's from Charleston with a Rivian, and I met him in Lewisburg charging. So I invited him to the group here, and he did join that afternoon. So I'll try to get him on a call as well.
That's great.
Marcy, how
All right, great.
full were you on your charge when you switched chargers?
What?
How full of
So,
a charge did you have when you were switched
I
chargers?
had about 27%.
Okay.
That shouldn't matter with AC. AC's charging doesn't seem to vary with best state of charge.
I've never experienced that. And when, of course, the Blink reps told me that I was only pulling 1010 because that's all my car would accept. And I'm like, no, I was just at a charger pulling 11.6. What are you talking about? So, anyway, they couldn't give me an answer. So I just went back to Montwell Commons. And I went from 27 to 100% in about 5 hours. So it was not bad. That was great shopping time.
Some variability you see on those level 2 chargers. There can be variability on each charger, like how many amps it's pulling, but also the volts. If it's on commercial power, it's only 208 volts. They won't generate as much power. So you'll see some slight variation in the chargers, level 2 chargers, because of that.
Yeah, the voltage could be, could be 220 or 242 or something. It could just pull down because there's too much stuff on it.
Yeah.
Or the
that's
the wires not enough gauge. So
yeah, I tried 2 of them, and I was getting the same exact pull. So I don't know what the deal was. It was chilly that day, but no more chilly than any other time I've charged lately.
Yeah, I don't think with AC charging much of that comes into play. It's usually just the amps and the volts.
Yeah, you're not delivering enough power on AC to really make enough difference for temperature or state of charge.
Okay, good to know.
You don't see any variation in that.
Well, I was pretty disappointed
Marcy,
because I could have. Hey,
does your car show the voltage like as soon as you plug in, and then does it like I know on a Tesla? So whenever you plug it in, it'll say, okay, there's 247 volts. And then as the amps ramp up, your voltage drops down. Maybe you could watch that and see if you see that it drops down, more than about 3%. That's a pretty good indication of a poor electrical installation. We like to not have more than about 3% voltage drop on a circuit. That's sort of a general rule. So that's something you could look at and say, okay, well this charger is just simply. It's maybe not a bad charger. It's just not a very good installation.
Well, yeah. In fact, Tesla.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I'm sorry.
Tesla will do diagnostics on that. Tesla will do diagnostics on that voltage, and if it changes during the charge and starts dropping, that's an indication the wire's heating up, and they'll actually cut the amps on you.
Right.
I've had that happen.
Yep.
Mine doesn't show the amperage; it just shows the kilowatts, but it does show it. It shows it live, so it'll fluctuate as it pulls. But it was not fluctuating at all. It was just staying dead on 10 amps. It was weird.
So
I'm sorry, not amps, kilowatts.
We're both
10 kilowatts. That might be 48 amps at 208 volts is right around 10 kilowatts. So I don't know, might have been something like that.
So then how could they say it's a 21.5 kilowatt charger, and why would I not be able to pull that?
Well, I mean, now there's two numbers. I mean, the charger can deliver. I've never seen a 21 kilowatt AC charger. The most I've ever seen is 19.2 AC kilowatts, 19.2 AC charger, level 2. So I'm not sure about that number that they were talking about there. But your car has to support it too. I mean, so like, our Teslas usually top out, depending on the Tesla you have, even like my Tesla will go to a 48 amps and 240 volts, which is 11, almost 12 kilowatts, but that's the maximum it can do. So even if I plugged into a 19.2 kilowatt charger, it wouldn't matter because the car maxes out. So your EV6, I'm not sure what the AC limit is on it because it depends on the inverter that's in the car.
Okay.
Well, we've seen it up to 200.
So well, it depends on how it's wired, I guess. So I'll have to call and find out.
All right, here you go. All versions of the Kia EV6 can charge at a maximum of 11 kilowatts AC.
11. Okay. Well, I was pulling more than 11 at the Montwell. It was like 11.6. But okay.
Well, there might be some slight variation, but online the specifications say it's around 11 kilowatts.
Okay. All right.
The only ones that really went much faster than that, there were some early Tesla Model S's that had 2 onboard inverters or converters, and they'd go up to 80 amps. So that's like 20.
That's your 90.2.
That's as high as you could get, and they charge a lot of extra money for those. But that was back when there weren't any superchargers, so that was early, like 20.
Ford supports that now. I think there's F-150 Lightning models that'll support 19.2 AC charging.
So that's 80 amps. Wow.
80 amps.
That's just with one inverter or one converter.
I think it's just one inverter. I don't think it's the dual setup. So it's a big honking inverter, and it's probably like a upcharge option for that truck.
Yeah.
I've never seen any AC charging greater than the 19.2, which is 80 amps at 240 volts. And I think I heard someone say something about the kilowatts like that a Kia or any of these vehicles can do. It's different. DC fast charging is a different animal. That's what it's capable of at DC fast charging speeds is totally different. So I think the EV6 is capable of 220, 230 kilowatts on DC fast charging. If you've got low state of charge and you're at a charger that can provide that much power, a DC fast charger.
Yeah, I've seen it up to about 225, 230. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
that's right.
In the summer. Yeah.
I have one question. Were the lower plug connections working at Mall Commons? Those are the ones that we gave.
No, they're still out. They still have sign on them. Apparently, they short the power out to the facility or something. Like
no, it costs too much.
No.
They turned them off, right, Mark?
Yeah, they turned them off because of demand charges. It cost them too much money.
Yeah. So I was just going to say I was there for 2 days, and I was around about Lewisburg, and every time I drive by, I would look to see if they were iced out or people were using them. And the 2 days I was there, granted it wasn't a weekend, they were available at all times except when there was a couple of cars that charged for a few minutes, and of course the Rivian. I will say when I was charging once, a Ford parked beside me. A little girl hopped out and went to the pizza place, and I was going to wait, and if somebody drove by that needed a charge, I was going to go in and ask her to kindly move, but that I didn't see them iced, and they were available. So I will rely on those in the future, but those were the upper ones.
Okay.
Something disappointing, talking about Lewisburg. My wife and I, when we went and got my car in Harrisonburg 2.5 weeks ago, we called every hotel from Lewisburg all the way down to Charleston, looking to see if anybody had a charger. Some of the places did have chargers, but none of them were activated. And it was really surprising to me. There's a new True hotel that's opened in Beckley. It's only been open a year. They don't even have any chargers in there at all. Not that they're activated or inactive, they just don't have any.
Yeah, the same with
Sometimes even if they don't have
Lewisburg.
chargers, they'll let you use the plug. So you can ask if they've got a plug. But even then, it may just be level 1 charging, which won't be all that great.
Right.
Yeah, there's not enough plugs, and certainly not for the demand we're going to see in the next couple of years. There's just not going to be enough. Which is why I'm hoping that Tesla really opens up their superchargers to other people. And I'm also hoping that Tesla's initiative to have everybody adopt what they're now calling the North American Charging Standard, which is a Tesla plug. I don't know, is anybody here? There's a voting place you can go vote and sign a petition that the people everybody switch to the Tesla plug. Has anybody heard about that?
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, there's some sort of petition drive that's being delivered to all the manufacturers and all the equipment the EVSE manufacturers to change their plugs to Tesla plugs. Tesla has released all the design information, all the proprietary information, so anybody can adopt the Tesla. It's no longer Tesla; it's the North American Charging Standard, which uses the smaller plug that Tesla uses. And I did hear that Aptera, the 2-passenger 1,000-mile range solar-powered EV, 3-wheeled EV, is only going to sell it with a Tesla plug.
Yeah, I think they've announced that a while back.
Yeah.
But currently, aren't all the other cars using the same plug? Like, isn't Ford, GM, Kia, Honda?
They are.
So
they're using the
CCS1,
the committee plug. It's actually the Society of Automotive Engineers Standard J1772-2011-CCS.
Yeah, that's what you have.
Which is what everybody else comes with.
So if everybody else has got that, would it not be simpler just to switch over to Tesla over to that then?
Well, except the 80% of the cars out there are Teslas.
Well, the other thing too.
And Tesla controls the vast majority of the market of cars and chargers.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it. But I mean, to that point though, I mean, I really just don't see the other manufacturers adopting the Tesla plug, the North American Charging Standard plug. We'll see, but I really don't see that happening.
You're probably right.
I don't see it happening either, but they're coming under pressure because of the not having the charging network out there and the unreliability of the CCS that's been out there and the differences in the voltages.
Yeah, CCS is not a reliable standard. Nobody's been able to get it to work. EAA spent billions of dollars and all they have are broken plugs all around the country. So and I've had pretty good luck with using the John's CHAdeMO adapter and ChargePoint stations, but all of those are 50 kWs. And
well, the other thing too is that the whole thing with EAA right now and ChargePoint is they're going through growing pains and upgrades, and they're all the information I've been watching on out of spec motoring and whatnot about the charging issues with it is with Rivian, the Lightning, everything, they're causing issues, causing alarms because they're not communicating with the car correctly and trying to send too much voltage at times. So their new upgrade on EAA is having some problems.
Huh. So it's not just the equipment manufacturers; it's the auto manufacturers aren't sticking to the standard either. I think they wrote the standard too wide.
It's not the auto manufacturers; it's EAA trying to do the upgrade.
Oh, okay.
They're not. Their new software that they put out in those new chargers is not communicating with the vehicles correctly. And I just saw a post where somebody was doing EAA with a Lightning, and it was being towed away because something happened with the charger and shorted the truck out.
I saw that. Yeah, bricked the truck. At the Electrify America station, bricked the F-150. So, or something happened to the F-150. I guess they'll have to investigate and figure out what happened. But yeah, the vehicle got bricked as the result of something at the charger.
Well, was that a new one? Or one of the new ones they just replaced, or
Yes, it was one of the new upgrades that they just put in. Kyle from Out of Spec Motoring was trying to travel and tow and was having all kinds of trouble with the Rivian that he was driving, and was on the phone with Rivian, and they reset the truck and whatnot, and it kept throwing some error codes, and it came down to EAA was trying to push too much voltage to the vehicle, more than its limit.
Well, there's certainly going to have to be a lot more work to be done, especially on the CCS side, to get that network and that standard up to snuff and get vehicles to work reliably.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But, even beyond the communication between the charger and vehicle issues, I mean, obviously some of that happens. But putting that aside, I mean, there's still no excuse for the number of chargers that are just offline, or that you can't get billing and authorization to go through. I mean, that has nothing to do with the vehicle and the charger communicating. That's just having reliable equipment and doing proper maintenance on it, and dealing with billing and authorization issues. Even if it's not as easy as it is on a Tesla, you should still be able to make a payment, authorize a charger, and the charger should work. It's not rocket science.
Well, let's ask a little poll here. Has anyone ever seen a CCS charger having maintenance performed on it? I mean, I've seen several times. I've seen a Tesla truck performing maintenance on. Oh, you have, John. Where?
Easton. They've been going through and doing a major upgrade to all their charge points.
Okay.
Which has changed how you charge with a CHAdeMO adapter.
Oh.
So when you took my CHAdeMO adapter, you had to plug in the cable, plug it into the car, and then start the charge. Well, they did away with that start button. So now you have to plug the adapter into the car, plug the cable into the car, and then scan your phone to actually activate the charge. But I've had issues with those new chargers and the CHAdeMO. And I wonder, after doing my investigation and seeing what's going on with these other chargers, if there's something still wrong with the software and it's trying to push too much voltage, because I was getting errors.
And that was ChargePoint?
Yes.
Talking about Easton, the ChargePoint chargers there throughout the Easton Mall, they were really nice because we used them about a month to 5 weeks ago with Marcy's car, and boy, they were everywhere, and they were nice, and they were free.
Well, and they're bringing them back online because biggest part of the summer, most of them were offline because they were in the middle of that upgrade. But ChargePoint, when you called them, knew nothing about it. There was no sign saying that upgrade coming. They were just saying out of order.
So I've seen at least twice. I've seen Tesla maintenance trucks at Tesla superchargers, and I've also, Scott, you've seen them too, right, Hamilton?
What was the question?
You've seen Tesla maintenance folks working on supercharger when you're in there charging, right?
Out west, they were actually changing the cables. They apparently have a certain life that they are due to be changed out, and we've seen ones when they've had, unfortunately, vandalism to some of the plugs, and they have to then do something to those. And someplace else we saw somebody, out west as well. We went to the same station because we were in the area a couple times, and it was first it wouldn't work, then cordoned off with some tape and everything, and finally saw somebody working there. So we've seen two different stations where they were actively maintaining it.
Yeah, on this last trip, Texarkana, there was a guy working on some of this, and a couple of stations were blocked off, and he was working. He had his nose into the transformer boxes or whatever, the control boxes. He was on the phone and had his computer out, so it looked like he was troubleshooting something pretty carefully.
Eric was real excited at one of those places because they had the transformer or the equipment open, and he'd explain it to my son, and we were listening. We weren't allowed to take any pictures, but that was good enough for Eric. He was very happy to have seen the inside of those boxes.
I'll have to admit, I've never seen a CCS plug in real life. So it's just, I've never had a reason to, and they don't exist in West Virginia. They don't exist where I travel. So I've just never seen one, never had a reason to look for one. So I can't say that I've ever seen one under service.
Well, you should spend a day in the gym before.
Spend the day where?
In the gym.
Go ahead, Marty.
Spend the day in the gym before you. They're big.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, it's almost 8:00. So, any last-minute words, or and I do have a couple. Before I forget, if anyone has any nominations for the officers, send those to me by tomorrow. We said end of the month in the email that I sent out. So, if you have anything, send it to me. Self-nominate, or if you want to nominate someone, you can send that to me by tomorrow. And then also, I wanted to check with folks to see if we wanted to do this meeting, Coffee and EVs, in December. So typically we're doing the last Tuesday in the month, which would be the 27th of December, which is just right after Christmas. So I figure folks probably don't want to do that. We could bump it back to the 20th if folks want to do the 20th.
I think both those are pretty inconvenient.
I mean, if we just want to cancel December's and we'll just pick it up in January, that's fine too. Just what does the group feel like?
I would vote for postponing till January.
Yeah, I'm fine with January because I don't know what my travel plans will be both those days or where I'll be and might be busy.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Hey, Taylor, keep us informed of how your repairs go.
Alrighty, I'll do that. I might share it on the Facebook group there too.
Oh, I've got one other travel experience at one of the superchargers. A fellow had his new Tesla he just picked up, and he and his wife were on a trip from Vermont down to, I think it was like St. Louis area or something like that. But anyway, he's had a Ford EV for 10 years, and he was no stranger, but of course he couldn't go on long trips, so he was very interested in our experiences and how we could, and was Tesla's range and everything accurate, and I explained yes. And so it's a fascinating experience with someone who's been in the EV ownership business for longer than I have. That's all.
And the only other thing I have to say is Tesla just announced a new largest supercharging station. They're expanding Harris Ranch from 16 plugs. They're adding 88 more. So I think that's 104. plugs they will have at one spot on
Where's that?
I-5 in California between LA and San Francisco.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense in California.
I bet you at Christmas there'll still be a line. See?
All right, guys. Well, we are right at the top of the hour, and we'll try to keep it to that. So thanks everyone for joining. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and everyone have a great Christmas. And then we will see everyone back in January. Actually, it looks like the last Tuesday in January is the 31st. So we'll see everyone at the end of January for Virtual Coffee and EVs.
All right.
Great.
All right.
Happy
Thanks,
holidays,
everyone. Enjoy it. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye.